I used my arms to pull myself to the edge of the bed. And each time I would pass out, I would come to again, I would pass out. Finally, I knew if I did not get out of that bed, I was going to die. I pulled with everything I had. I tumbled out of the bed. I thought this was a little strange, but to get even stranger, it was because I was no longer in that body. Every positive emotion you could think of was in this light. And at the end of the tunnel, or at the end of the light, was a being. And that being said it was okay for me to come into the light. Hi, my name's Ray Catania, and welcome. And I just like to say thank you for tuning in and watching this today. I'm here to tell you a little bit about my NDE and how it changed my life. So I'll take you to the beginning, and the beginning starts with my childhood, which was not a very good one, unfortunately. There was a lot of trauma, drama, violence, and kind of stuff that kids should never see, unfortunately. So I used to try to hide from that to the best of my ability and hide under the bed or maybe in the closet or outside. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I spent hours by myself in isolation. And later on, I learned that what I was actually doing, because I had no cell phones or we had nothing like that back then, is I was actually meditating. I was looking at a wall, nothing else. And I was just begging to get out of the situation that I was in. And what happens is the mind is a funny thing. The mind, which is separate from the body, I've later learned, you can actually push through and detach, if you will. And I could escape the reality that I was in. I really wanted to escape the reality, and I can do that with my mind. And I think a lot of people who've experienced significant trauma will tell you the same thing, that when you're going through that trauma and it's so terrible and so bad and so awful, that you can escape it, so that you're not physically experiencing it. Because of this, I wound up living a young lifestyle of one where I really didn't care if I lived or died. I had a lot of self sabotage, and I put myself in quite a few very, very dangerous situations. And I did this basically because I had no belief in a higher power, no belief in an afterlife, no belief in anything. I was raised in a religious home, yet the things that I saw led me to believe that there was no higher power that could possibly really care about me. So, um, living this lifestyle, although I put my own life on the line many times, it was actually none of those times that took my life. It was, ironically enough, it was nothing more than a fire that was in my home. And there was a gas leak. It was from a stove. The stove was located on the first floor, and my bedroom was on the second floor. Now I'm about at the age of 20, and I'm still living in my parents' home. So the gas is leaking from the stove, and it's rising up all night long into my bedroom, and I'm inhaling it and I'm breathing it in. And in the morning, my mother woke up and went to turn the stove on, and there was a ball of fire and caught the wall on fire. The way I understand the story, my father was able to put it out rather quickly, but they still called 911, and the police and fire trucks came to the scene. And hearing this, it woke me up. I was wondering what the commotion was downstairs. I didn't know anything about the fire or anything else for that matter yet. And when I went to get up, I noticed the first problem, that there was something seriously wrong with my body. And my legs, well, they would not move. They felt as though they weighed 5,000 pounds, and I just could not get them to move. And other parts of my body would not cooperate either. What I did have was my right arm and a little of my left. And I couldn't yell. My head, I couldn't get it off the pillow. I was just, most of my body was just paralyzed. And so I used my arms to pull myself to the edge of the bed. And each time I would pass out, I would come to again, I would pass out. Finally, I knew if I did not get out of that bed, I was going to die. There was no question. So, I don't know, third, fourth attempt, I'm not quite sure. I pulled with everything I had and I tumbled out of the bed. And when I tumbled out, I came down face first, landed right on my chin. And at that moment, you expect pain to set in because that's typically what happens, but I felt no pain. And I thought this was a little strange, but to get even stranger, it was because I was no longer in that body. I was above that body. I was looking down on my lifeless body, and everything is very, very vivid. The colors are just more vibrant. Adjacent from me in the other corner was a white light. And by calling it a light, I'm really doing it no justice. This was a tunnel, a light, and it was just every positive emotion you could think of in this light. Love, euphoria, peace. And I was part of the light. I wasn't separate from the light. So it was like it was shining on me, but I was actually part of that light on that day. I think we're part of that light every day, but on that particular day, I knew that I was. And at the end of the tunnel or at the end of the light was a being, and that being said it was okay for me to come into the light. And I trusted the being. And as I entered into this tunnel further and further, I felt more euphoria. It was enhanced, if that's possible. It was just the greatest feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. There's no words to describe it. I was out of the body, out of the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle would call it, and I was just energetic. I was this energetic being, and I was part of the light. And I wanted to go to the other side. More than anything else, I wanted to go to the other side of that light. But what happened is my father must have heard me hit the floor. So he came running up into my bedroom. And this is where he gets very emotional. And he kind of grabs me and he's holding me in his arms and he's crying and he's screaming for the paramedics, help my son. And that, was one of the few times that I felt like he actually did love me, which is something I never really experienced with him. So wanting to have that relationship and longing for it, I guess, I asked the being at the end of the light if I could go back. I remember I said, I can't leave him like this, like it was about him or something, It was me wanting that. And I don't know if that's the reason I was allowed to come back, but I did. And when I woke up, I was not in his arms anymore. I was on the living room floor, which is downstairs. The paramedics were working on me with their tools and paddles and whatnot. And I woke up and I just, it took me a minute or so to figure out what had just, what's going on. I didn't know why these people were on top of me and working on me. I didn't see any of that. And I'm fighting with them. I'm like, guys, get off me. Who are you? I'm fine. Leave me alone. And they're like, kid, you're not fine. You're far from fine. You're the farthest from fine as you can possibly be. And I said, but I feel fantastic. And, the euphoria just stays with you when you come out of this, when you come out of the light. And it stays with you for a while, I would say a few hours. The whole time I was in the hospital, all I could think about was how great I felt. When it wears away, the pain sets in. I'll tell you that. It's like a bomb goes off inside of you, and everything that's ever bothered you, every ailment, everything, a sprained elbow becomes magnified 10 times, and just everything was really, really painful. And so anyway, I never did have that relationship with my father that I wanted, and honestly, I felt like I made the wrong choice. I should have gone into the light, and I was really upset about that for a long time. So now I'm in my 20s. I have this. Um, I tell a few people about what I've seen, including my own parents, who tell me that I'm crazy and not to ever tell anybody that, or they'll lock me up and throw away the key. So I keep it to myself, and I have to rationalize it to just for my own edification. I have to figure out a rational way to explain it. And here's what I did. I figured, well, I fell in front of a window on what was probably a sunny day, and the sun was shining through the window, and that's the white light. And I inhaled so much gas that I was so high that I was hallucinating everything else, the being, the voice, and everything else. And that's just the way I packaged it up, and I put it away for many, many years. So I didn't have to deal with it. And I could go back to being an atheist, and I could just continue on with my reckless behavior. But the more I did that, that being would return several times to save my life in various situations. And one of them, which was quite significant, I was working in a bar and was working for some shady characters. And after hours, I was putting some things away behind the bar, and it was the end of the night, and I was leaving, and there was two groups of people. One group of guys I knew, the other ones I didn't. The big boss was there, and somebody yelled out, "Hey, Ray, give me Johnny on the Rocks," or something. And so I picked up the bottle. First, I looked at the boss. He gave me the head nod. I said, "Okay, I can pour it." So I did. And then he yelled at me, the guy, and he says, "Don't give me that stuff. Give me the good stuff. Give me the black." So to get the black, I had to go down under the counter and unlock the cabinet because it was locked up. And when I did that, I bent down. I heard pop, 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 pop. And I had heard this sound before. It's not the first time I've heard guns go off, and I know what's happening. But what I don't know is how I'm going to get out of there. So I know if I stand up, they're going to know that I'm there. Maybe they forgot. I don't know. And in a millisecond, I hear side door, side door, side door. And it's not hearing, like I'm not hearing this with my ears. I don't know how to explain. I'm using hearing because I have no words to describe. It's a download. You're receiving something. And yet I knew who it was, which is very strange. But again, some of these things I just can't explain. So I did make a break for it. And I went for the side door, and I got out the side. There's a side door, but then you have to go around, make a left. I don't know how to explain it, but you have to make two lefts. And then there's a door in a corridor about 40 feet that I had to run down and then go out the fire escape door, which was also a side door. And I had parked my car right outside that door. I've never parked my car on that side of the building because I had my own parking space on the other side. I do not know what made me park there. Don't know why, but I did. And it proved to save my life that night. And I've had a lot of experiences with that being. And, today I think I feel like he's my spirit guide, and he's with me. And he's looked out for me, and I have a different belief on the afterlife, and I've come to terms with that. It's very, very real. One message that I would say that I learned on that day is that we are all a part of that light, and we're all going to return to that light one day. And what that means is is there is a universal collective consciousness, if you will, or you could call it God, the universe, whatever you wish. And we're all returning to that entity. So therefore, we're all one with that entity. And to hurt your fellow man or woman is to hurt yourself, because you are a part of that entity as well. And that's one of the biggest takeaways. We're all returning to that light one day.